With all the new card releases lately, it's probably understandable why many people have actually missed the secret tech card. So what is up, guys? This is Tcg Sam here, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about Rainbow Bridge of Salvation and why I think this card has some of the most potential in the game. So as the fact reads, if there are 2 or more different monster types among the level 10 or higher monsters on the field, shuffle all cards except this one from both players' hands, fields, and graveyards into the deck, then each player draws 5 cards. You can banish this card from your graveyard as a cost, add 1 Crystal Beast monster and 1 field spell from your deck to your hand, and you can only apply each effect of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation once per duel. So the effect that we are concerned with is, of course, the graveyard effect, where essentially it's able to add us any field spell in the game along with a Crystal Beast monster. To begin with, the way you actually access this card is going to be with a card like Foolish Burial Goods. You could hypothetically play multiple copies and hope to mill it in, let's say, like a Tearlament strategy, but I probably wouldn't recommend that because in theory, these cards are bricks. You don't necessarily want to see them. Let's get on to why this card is so powerful. So right off the bat, in terms of pure card advantage, it's a +1. You get not only the field spell, but you also get the Crystal Beast monster. And with how powerful field spells are nowadays, that single field spell probably generates you at least 1 or 2 cards more in advantage, if not even more, inadvertently through like starting your plays. Now let's take a look at an example of what Rainbow Bridge of Salvation can actually do for you in a deck. So let's just say all we have is a single copy of Foolish Burial Goods, and we are playing Tearlament. If we go Foolish Burial Goods, we're able to send the copy of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, activate Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, banishing itself in order to add Primeval Planet Perlerino and a Crystal Beast Emerald Tortoise. Now, Perlerino is incredibly good, not only because it gets our engine started, but it also gets us advantage every single turn by acting as disruption, and of course, it just sticks on the board, so it consistently gives us this advantage. We can activate the Perlerino next, and then add a copy of Rhino Heart, one of our starters. Normal summon the Rhino Heart. Rhino Heart is going to be able to send any Tearlament to the graveyard. Putting the Tearlament and the Emerald Tortoise back because it is an Aqua. So if your deck can take advantage of one of the Crystal Beast monsters for even something small, like seemingly small like this, it could be really worth it because then this monster that you're playing won't be as much of a brick as if you were just playing a complete Garnet that did absolutely nothing. So if we put these 2 away and summon out our Tearlament's Kikalos, you have a couple options here, but let's just say, worst case, you have nothing else in your hand. You add Sheeran, Kikalos destroys itself to special summon the Sheeran, sends the top 5 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Assuming you don't hit anything at all, at the very minimum, we can turn these 2 into a copy of Time Thief Redoer. Attach one of our opponent's cards, and then on our opponent's turn, we can activate the Redoer, banishing itself, detaching the Sheeran, and then we're going to trigger the Sheeran effect. You have the option right away to go for a copy of Kaleido Heart, so Kaleido Heart can shuffle a card back your opponent controls. Perlerino can destroy a card your opponent controls, or if you really want to, you can just make another Kikalos and then just keep going from there and get a pop. So you can kind of see how powerful this single card is. It gets your entire engine started, grabs you insane card advantage, and even if we did, for example, mill the copy of Emerald Tortoise, we are able to put it back with like our Tearlament effect, so this will still be live later on in the game. So that's kind of just an example of how you can use this card in your deck. Just something to consider with all the powerful field spells out there. It's just super valuable to be able to have more consistent access to it. Have essentially 3 more starters. Yes, I understand there are 2 bricks in your deck. That's kind of like the biggest downside of this. There are 2 bricks. And if you, for example, draw the monster and you don't have a way to put it back in your deck, then yes, Rainbow Bridge Salvation is dead. Essentially is like the Brilliant Fusion problem, except now you have an extra quote-unquote brick in your deck. What are we actually going to be adding with this? And like, what are the best cards to add with this? So, of course, I'm suggesting you can put this in any deck with a field spell, hypothetically. If you play like 3 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, along with the Terraforming, 3 of the field spells, then you have 3 + 1 + 3. So that's 7 copies of your field spell, 8 if you play set rotation, and that's a lot more than we had access to before once Terraforming went to 1. So Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, being able to add that field spell, unfortunately you do actually have to add the Crystal Beast monster. So taking out all the Crystal Beast like main deck monsters that you can possibly add, if we just take a look at them, none of them are particularly great. A couple level 3s, you have a couple level 4s. But like none of their effects are very relevant at all, because if you're not playing Crystal Beast, like they just don't matter. Now, depending on the deck that you're playing, you may opt to go for one of the level 4 options, so like Pegasus, Cobalt, Amber Mammoth, Topaz Tiger, for example. Just because if your deck plays like rank 4s, for example, hypothetically, you could just normal summon this, it becomes a level 4 monster, and you can use it in your XYZ summons or something. Now, the attributes could, on the other hand, could also matter as well. Let's say, for example, you are trying to, I don't know, specifically play a card like Goes and Match or something, and in your deck you could just play one of these so you can still summon under Goes and Match. It's probably not going to come up, but these are just small things you have to consider when deciding between like these quote-unquote garnets. The point is, these very small things kind of like separate them from another and help you decide which one to play. Moving on to level 3s, you can play like Emerald Turtis in Cure Elements. That's probably the best one because it is an Aqua, as you're able to put it back in the fusion monsters. The other effects just aren't that relevant. Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon also just doesn't really do anything for you in your main deck. It is a dragon, so maybe you might be able to do something with it. Those are kind of like the quote-unquote bricks, so unfortunately you do have to play them with the Rainbow Ridge of Salvation. So it's just something to consider when deciding to put this card in your deck or not. Engines like this in Yu-Gi-Oh, where like you have like three really good cards, can just be worth it because you're just of course mathematically seeing these 3 cards more often than you're seeing the 2 non-good cards. I understand 2 is a pretty big number of bricks to play in a lot of decks, so that's kind of like the double-edged sword with Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. If, for example, you can't have any other utility with the Crystal Beast monster that you're searching, or if your Foolish Burial of Goods doesn't do anything else in your deck, and for example you draw this, then yeah, it won't be a very good choice in your deck. So yeah, just a quick video on why I think Rainbow Bridge of Salvation has all this potential. If you guys enjoyed it, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know what decks you are putting Rainbow Bridge of Salvation in. But I just wanted to bring this to your attention because not everyone knows about this card, and it's definitely a card that has been overlooked considering all the new powerful card releases lately. That's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and with that, I will see you guys next time. Take care.